My name is Camil Golub. I am an assistant professor of philosophy at Rutgers University in Newark, and I work in ethics, in metaethics, and moral psychology. That is, I look into questions about what makes an action morally right, what makes a life good for us, what does it mean to say that an action is right or that a life is good, are there any objective moral truths, how do human beings make moral decisions and arrive at moral judgments, and similar questions. One of the things I love about philosophy is that it answers to questions and concerns that most people will have, actually everyone will have at some point in their lives, right? Questions like, is morality all a matter of opinion, or are there moral truths that hold for everyone in all cultures, or what is a good life for me, right? It's really easy to get people invested in these kind of questions, even people who've never heard of philosophy before, or who might never do philosophy again. Many people are surprised to hear what doing philosophy actually involves, or on a day-to-day basis, or how we actually do research in philosophy. So they'll be surprised to hear that I might spend hours or even a few days thinking through an argument and trying to write it up in the best way possible. Or they'll be surprised to hear philosophers don't really do any empirical work or lab work. Instead, we just sit and read and think carefully about philosophical questions, and I think many people find that quite weird. But of course, philosophers don't find that weird at all. I find this especially rewarding as a teacher, as a professor, to expose students to these fundamental questions of human existence, to help them think through possible answers, and to make up their own minds about these issues, right? And what I find especially rewarding is to hear from students at the end of a course about how doing philosophy, studying philosophy, has transformed the way they think about themselves and about the world. Right, that's a wonderful thing to hear as a teacher. Well, I'm not sure I would say that I hate it. Perhaps hate is too strong of a word. But one of the things I don't particularly like about philosophy is the adversarial way in which it is often done. So I sometimes find myself wondering what philosophy would look like if we didn't focus so much on what might be wrong with other people's ideas, or how we might offer objections to their ideas, but I wonder what philosophy would look like if we focus more on what is valuable in other people's ideas and how to build on their insights. I believe philosophy is important because it is inevitable. We cannot avoid contemplating philosophical questions at some point in our lives. For example, I remember the first time when as a child I thought about the possibility or the idea that the world is infinitely vast, or when later as a teenager I had a real sense for the first time of my own mortality and the feelings of both wonder and vertigo that I had thinking about those issues. And even now as an adult, right, I find philosophy enormously valuable in thinking about issues like the prospect of getting old, or what I value in my life, or again my own mortality. Now, that's not to say that philosophy will always give us definitive answers to the fundamental questions of human existence, but it can help us get clear on what the questions are, the answers that might be offered, why certain answers don't work, or perhaps even realize that some questions are not worth thinking about because they are confused. Here is a moral disagreement that has been going on for years, decades in American culture. Whether abortion is morally permissible and under what circumstances. Right? It is a moral disagreement because it concerns the kind of actions that we are allowed or permitted to do, whether a certain action, having an abortion or helping someone have an abortion, is morally wrong or should be considered morally forbidden. Right? That's what makes it a moral disagreement. But the interesting questions about moral disagreement are, how do we get to settle these disagreements? Right? We can't just do some experiment that will tell us whether abortion is right or wrong. We can't just ask experts, right? Unlike in the case of scientific disagreements about whether climate change is real, for example, we can't just turn to a scientist and ask him or her for the answer to that question. What makes moral disagreements so intractable, interesting philosophically, is that there doesn't seem to be any such scientific way of settling them. Right? For a lot of people, that means that moral disagreements aren't really about any objective fact, that there isn't really any right answer. But that doesn't seem like a satisfying view to arrive at either, right? In many cases, we do think that moral questions have clear answers, right? Is genocide wrong? Of course it is, right? So moral disagreement is both intractable and at the same time, it doesn't feel pointless. And we feel that we are trying to get at some objective truths about what is the right way to live and how we should live our lives.